big stuff. It's large art constructed in cities and towns all over the world. These giants represent an idea, a business, or a feeling of a particular person or a whole community. The Big Stuff Podcast is about the people and stories behind big stuff. Come take this fun journey with us. This is the Big Stuff Podcast.
It is Jen and Andy. It is our second installment of the Big Stuff Podcast. We're so excited that you're here.
Yeah. Jen, 2019, I found myself traveling from St. Louis to Springfield, Missouri, and then up to Kansas City, Missouri. And on the way, I was doing what I normally do, and I stopped at all these big things on the way. And I found myself in West Mineral, Kansas, just over the line from Missouri. And I found this thing called Big Brutus.
Now, I had no idea what Brutus was about and how big it actually was. And that's why you're going to love this episode to find out the story behind Big Brutus. By the way, Big Brutus is an electric steam shovel.
Unbelievable. Very, very impressive. Wait till you see the pictures of me up against it for perspective. This thing is massive. Big doesn't even describe it.
It doesn't. It's gigantic. And here it is, episode number 2. Welcome, Big Stuffers. Very excited to have with us right now the general manager and executive director of Big Brutus. You can go to bigbrutus.org or .com, I should say. Cindy Morris. Hi, Cindy. Good morning.
Hi. How are
Cindy.
you?
Hi.
And you're right. It's .org.
Also not morning.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not morning either. He's pointing out to me.
Welcome. We need to find out more about Big Brutus. First of all, tell us what is Big Brutus, because
for people that don't know, I did not know, Cindy, before Andy brought it to my attention about Big Brutus, and I think a lot of people maybe listening this is their first interaction to Big Brutus.
Oh, I'm sure. Big Brutus is an 11 million pound coal mining shovel.
Wow.
And that sounds good, but wait till you see the photos of it. It's amazing.
Well, what blew me away is when I saw the pictures of Andy actually standing next to Big Brutus. I was just like, he's so tiny. I mean, this thing is huge. I don't think people can kind of grasp that, Cindy.
No, and that's what we have trouble with our marketing materials, trying to, put a picture out there and you think, oh, that's the size of a big tree or something. But when we actually can show someone like yourself next to it, gives a little bit of scale. But when we can say it weighs 11 million pounds and stands about 16 stories tall, that still doesn't really give you a full visual of how big it is until, like you said, you're right on site and you can stand right next to it.
And the weird thing is I'm 9 feet tall, so it's actually... It's actually bigger than you think there. Where are you? You're in Kansas. Where in Kansas are you?
We are in West Mineral, Kansas, which we're in the very extreme southeast corner of Kansas.
Now, one of the things that I was talking to Andy about is when you normally think of coal mining, I think of West Virginia and I think of Pennsylvania. But I didn't realize that southeast Kansas had such a rich history with coal mining. Tell us a little bit about that.
We're fortunate to have this little sliver we've got, enough to bring in a machine this large to go, 60, 70 feet deep into the ground to retrieve that coal. Much safer, of course, this way than sending men down into a mine shaft.
How long were you mining before the decision was made, we need a bigger way to do this?
When they decided that there was enough coal here to build a structure this size, ship it down here, assemble it on site here in West Mineral, Kansas, and then start start mining for coal. It only operated about 11 years in this area. I think it was manufactured to operate potentially 30 years. Big Brutus ran on total electric power, so the electric cost was continuing to increase. So there's a lot of factors on why they ended up ceasing operation. I wished it could have gone on for longer, but we're very fortunate to have it here.
When it first started, how many people did it actually take to assemble Big Brutus? Because you said everything was shipped right there to the site.
It was, I don't know if I have the exact number on how many men it took to assemble, but I'm going to say several hundred. Again, the manufacturing company, Bucyrus Erie, built it at their factory, put it entirely together on site at their factory.
Wow.
Dismantled it again, shipped it in 150 rail cars to Southeast Kansas, reassembled it back here. They wanted to make sure every part fit, every part was operational, everything was going to work.
Could you imagine the instruction manual on that one?
What did they tell me? How many boxes of blueprints? I mean, this is
I
like,
can't imagine.
10 foot of blueprints that, and I'm sure they brought their own engineers and different people that were skilled on being able to assemble that.
Those people went on to work for IKEA.
I was going to say the furniture company, yes.
I think you're right, yeah.
Do we know what the cost of it was back in the day?
It cost P&M $6.5 million in 1962.
Geez, that's seems like nothing nowadays for such a structure. I wonder what that would translate to in terms of today's money. 6.5 million back then. Yeah, we will.
Yeah, do the conversion. I'm going to say at least 10 times.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah, at least.
It has to be. Now, did you ever get to see it in operation?
I did not. Again, it stopped in 1974, so I would have just been a few years old, but I didn't see it in operation.
Yeah, I was just curious because that's something that you would definitely remember, I'm imagining, as a kid to see a machine like that digging.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. We get several customers in that says, I remember when I was 11 years old.
Oh, yeah?
My dad or grandparents would bring us out and just sit in the car like a movie theater and just watch it because it was so fun to watch.
That's got to be so cool.
Again, yeah, there was a lot of activity going on around the shovel. It wasn't just seeing Big Brutus. I mean, dump trucks coming in and going out. And so as a kid, that was probably a lot of fun to sit and watch.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tell me, so when it shut down for good, right? It was never fired up again to maybe move it or anything like that. It shut down right where it still sits today.
It did. I think they wanted to try to get a buyer that wanted to purchase it, either to take apart and reassemble to take to another coal mine or sell it for scrap. They got no takers. It was just
we
so
have a fund
expensive.
here at Big Stuff, and maybe we can put together enough money.
We'll scrap together some money. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
East.
Let's do it.
Do you have any specs on how big the shovel, how much one scoop of earth can you pick up with that shovel?
It's 90 cubic yard bucket. I believe it holds 150 tons. I'm going to have my specs in front of me.
Well, I can tell you, I actually have the specs in front of me.
Jen's very prepared for this.
Yeah, hold on a sec. I'll go over it. It was 11 stories tall. You mentioned that. 11 million pounds. No, I guess I don't have about the bucket. I think I read that one scoop could fill 3 rail cars on a train of material. Yeah, I think I remember that.
That is correct.
I did not write that down. But why the name, Cindy, Big Brutus? Do we know?
Apparently one of the gentlemen that operated it when, P&M had hired the guys to run it, they just like to name them. They had several of them named the captain or
I love it.
Different names they named, and they were just amongst the guys, and I guess he just said, boy, it's such a brute. He's just a brute.
There you go.
So that brute, Big Brutus, that's how they.
Oh yeah, that became his nickname.
Do we know
Very good
was it one
nickname.
of a kind, or did they make other
Big Brutus
machineries?
too?
Yeah, right. Does he have brothers
Little
and
They made
sisters?
Brutus?
yeah, they made other large coal mining machines, but nothing
Nothing like
exactly
that.
like Brutus.
So it was
There were
custom
different
made.
models, different shapes and sizes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cindy, did I read this correctly that a couple actually got married in Big Brutus?
I know several years ago when you could actually go to the top of the boom, they actually allowed them to go. Someone got married up there. And I've
Wow.
just been here a few years, and we had a wedding here a year and a half ago. Um, they got their story. They're college students at our local university. They came out here on a first date.
That's
Ah.
awesome.
It was so fun to hear their story though. Then then they graduated college and went off and did their careers, but then every couple years they'd like to come back here and kind of remember their college days, remember how they met, and it just kind of fell into place on where should we get married. And they both, the
Big
bride
Brutus.
also said, let's do it at Big Brutus.
Wow.
And they did it near the bucket. Actually, they stood in
Wow.
the bucket.
Oh, stop it.
They had their altar there. They had the people sitting out in the ground down by the bucket, and it was actually really, really cool.
That is
We sat and
awesome.
watched it with them, and they had a great time.
I would imagine going to your local Party City, you can't get Big Brutus themed napkins and things like that, I would assume.
I wish we could, but no.
She'll work on that. Something
Yeah, I'll
you
work on that.
something you do have, Cindy, is you have a fund Let's Paint campaign. But you told me he just got a makeover, Big Brutus. He was just painted?
He did just last fall.
Wow.
We saved money for several years to put aside for that particular project, and every 15 to 20 years it has to be painted. The black fades, the orange fades. It just starts to look pretty rough.
Just like any
so-
other piece of art.
Yeah, true.
Well, exactly. Just needs a little touch up.
Absolutely.
How many gallons
yeah.
of paint did you guys have to
really.
buy for that?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I had that information. Hundreds. I'm going to just put it out
Okay.
there. Hundreds of gallons, because he had hundreds of gallons of black, and then the orange. And
What's the
of course he
orange
had to-
color called? Do you know? Like, is it pumpkin orange?
There
or-
is. It does have its own color. We had to get through the company to have that matched up. For
Brutus orange.
Yeah,
paint
Brutus
supplier
orange.
to match it. Yeah, absolutely. And it took the painter several months. Of course, he had to power wash
Wow.
sprayer and then get it all cleaned and prepped, and then spray it using big lifts and what have you. So it's
And that's
it's
the
not
body
not
of
a
it.
weekend job.
Yeah, no kidding.
No. And that's just the body of it and the crane as well, I'm assuming? Or
Just the body of it we had
Yep.
this year. The body of it and the tracks and that part.
oh, they paint the tracks too. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Next phase will be the boom and that part.
Huh.
But that's what we got done this
We'll
last
get
fall.
Andy out there. He likes home improvement projects.
Come on,
I'm pretty
Andy.
good with a brush. I can
Okay,
figure
come
it
on
out.
out.
Brush or
Yeah.
roller? What are we doing this
Yeah,
with?
brush or roller. I would say roller.
Yeah.
It's how it's spray painter.
Spray paint it. There you go.
Yeah. How many people, when he was operational, did it take to work Brutus?
To actually just operate Brutus was 3 guys.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman that sat the operator was his position, sat in the driver's seat and just basically operated, ran the bucket, dumped. There was a guy that continuously had to oil different parts as it was in operation. Things had to be actually climbed to the top of the boom and back down twice a shift. Just all kinds of mechanical parts that had to be continuously oiled to keep it in operation. And then there was a gentleman on the ground that kind of directed him where the coal seam was at, or make sure he was going in the right direction and kind of help the operator to follow the coal seam. Again, there was all kinds of other activity going around, but just to operate Big Brutus, 3 gentlemen.
Wow.
I didn't realize he operated. Did you know this, Andy? 24 hours a day. So he really didn't get a
Really?
break.
Wow.
He was just full steam ahead, no pun intended.
Wow. It's
No,
not
it wasn't steam. I
powered,
know.
so,
Okay.
hey,
Sorry. That was a bad pun. I tried. I realized after I said it, he wasn't steam.
he wasn't.
That's Mike
No.
Mulligan. Remember Mike Mulligan?
Mulligan.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Your welcome center has kind of gotten a makeover in the last several years since Andy was there. But I was reading you can actually also bring a camper and you can camp there. It's a really nice facility.
It is a nice facility. When they built our museum here, they included outside access to inside showers, so people would have access to showers 24 hours a day. So they had a few camping sites outside of our museum. Actually, in April of 2024, we just opened an additional 14 RV spots just adjacent to our building that has all services.
Oh, wow.
Electric, water, and a sewer capacity.
Did any of the engineers tell you, Cindy, how noisy Brutus was when
good
he was
question.
up and kind of working?
Yes, I was one of my first questions when I started here was, the noise it made. Again, running on total electric, you had no diesel running, you
Right.
had no big engines that made a lot of noise. Very, very quiet.
Wow.
The fan system inside the main house was about the only thing that made much noise. Of course,
Wow.
the engines made little noise. If Big Brutus scooped a big rock or something and that kind of a noise, but the engine, the motor part of Big Brutus, it was actually very, very quiet.
So he could sneak up on people.
You could sneak up on Sunday. That's right.
Any statistics about how much coal they think it dug up over the years? Has anyone put any kind of numbers like that together? I know the answer is
Yes,
a lot, but
a lot, but I think I might have a little closer number. 900 million ton
Wow.
in
900 million tons.
11 years. Mhm.
In 11 years.
When they can do one scoop, lift it up and dump it into the rail or into a dump truck and back down to start again, less than 1 minute.
Oh, you're kidding.
That process was 1 minute.
Wow. So that's they're moving a lot of soil
A
there.
lot of earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Every
Wow.
minute there was that 90
Huh.
cubic yards of material.
Wow. It's just
So
to
then,
wrap your mind around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, hearing about Big Brutus and the history, it just shows like the hard work of Americans and that how resilient they were, and to come up with this piece of machinery and to be able to operate this. It's kind of cool what it says about the workmanship of our country.
The ingenuity.
The ingenuity and that there was just like this work ethic that is just amazing.
Oh, you're right. And like I said, still having a few of those gentlemen around our coming here, volunteering, serving on our board.
Oh, that's great.
You can see it when you talk to those guys. They, never complained about their job. And I mean, they had some hard jobs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Loved their job here. Loved working for P&M. Loved coal mining.
It's like an American piece of like American history that, even though it's not operational, it's still there. You can still visit it and you can still take your kids
Right.
to see it.
Well, and you can touch it. You can go in
You
it
can
and you
touch.
can touch it. It's not like a regular historic museum where you're in some colonial house that you can't touch anything.
Which we have a lot of those
Right.
here.
They let you go
Oh,
through
yeah.
the whole thing. You get to see the engine room and you get to sit in the chair where the controls are. You can go stand in the bucket. What am I missing, Cindy? There's more, right?
You're right. I mean, you crawl all over that thing.
Yeah.
You can't hurt it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So you're right.
I have a
Really
question
good feel for it.
about your gift shop, because I'm assuming you have a gift shop. Do you
We
have
do.
a Big Brutus plushie?
We do not have a plushie.
Oh,
I'm planting the plushie seed for the little stuffed
Okay.
animal.
but if you're going to
Yeah,
do
get
that,
it out.
do a plushie to scale.
Yeah. You're not,
Absolutely.
you're
Don't
not
need
getting a
scale.
plushie to scale. No.
You can assemble it right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, this has been fascinating talking about Big Brutus and the history of Big Brutus. And I would love to get out and see. I'm assuming it's a him, right? Is Big Brutus isn't a she?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a manly name.
Definitely male. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Flexing some muscle
It
there.
could be Big Bernice.
Well, it could be.
Yeah, exactly.
Cindy, thank you so much for joining us on Big Stuff Podcast. I hope we get to see you again at some point. We got to get Jen out there.
Yes.
And
Come on up, Jen.
I will.
And we'll check it out. Meanwhile, keep up the big work, and
Everything's big around here,
everything's
Cindy.
big. That is a big monster, and in a good way. And we love it. So thank you for doing your American duty.
And thanks for taking the time to be on with us today.
Thank you guys for thinking of us.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Wow, what an episode, Jen. Incredible. Big Brutus, large and in charge.
You're not kidding.
Listen, there's a stat that we need to talk about here, because in the episode, Cindy told us that Big Brutus cost of putting him together was $6.5 million. We did a little calculation. Turns out by today's dollars, it's about 10 times that, $65 million to get Brutus built today.
And you have that laying around, right, in your bank account?
In my wallet.
Hey, we want to say thank you to Cindy and the entire crew at Big Brutus. They provided us with some unbelievable historic footage that so added to the podcast, and we really hope you enjoyed the history and seeing what was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and seeing like those guys with the little oil can and stuff like that, just amazing, primitive kind of stuff, and it's really wonderful that they rolled camera on that.
If you happen to be in West Mineral, Kansas, Brutus Fest 2025 is happening very soon. That is in May of 2025. And they're also at the museum celebrating their 40th anniversary of the museum being open.
Terrific.
So lots of reasons to get out there and travel and visit West Mineral, Kansas and Big Brutus.
Absolutely. And by the way, it's about halfway between Kansas City and Tulsa, Oklahoma. And, it's kind of in the middle, but you can make that trip. It's a little bit out of your way, but worth every minute of it. So I would suggest going there if you can. Hey, join us again next week. We're going to have a brand new field report and a brand new blog.
But we really appreciate you watching today's podcast, and we will see you next week. And hopefully you enjoyed. Remember to find us at bigstuffpodcast.com. Thanks.
See ya.
Join us again for our next Big Stuff podcast. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and at bigstuffpodcast.com.